The Pursuit of Podcast, a purely guest-centric show focusing on people and organizations that advance positive change. Positivity can be anywhere, and in a time of vast discord, the pursuit of is finding those who champion its causes loudest. Join us as we sit and learn about the pursuits of local leaders in their community. Let's go.
Hello, good people, and welcome to the Pursuit of Podcast, where it's truly not us, it's you. I'm Ryan Buck, Artist Development, New Leonard Media, and with me, as always, is the boss, Mark Wilson, President, New Leonard Media.
Oh, hey, Ryan.
How's it going?
Dude, it's going great. I just got a new Ryobi weed whip.
That's enough of that. With us today is Marco Dedenbach, Director of the Crystal Community Ski Club's Master the Mountain program.
That's right. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure to have you. Did I say that correctly?
Yeah, Marco Dedenbach, or the Master of the Mountain.
Both.
You got it all right.
Not a professional. Probably should have checked it before. But thank you so much for being here. And for our listeners unfamiliar with the program, can you tell us about the Crystal Community Ski Club and, of course, Master the Mountain? Because this was new for me.
Sure. Crystal Community Ski Club, or CCSC as we call it, just because it's a mouthful. But it's a nonprofit. Works out of Crystal Mountain, hence we call ourselves Crystal Community Ski Club. And the club itself really has three different sections to it. I run the Master of the Mountain program, but there's also a race academy for kids who are into ski racing, anywhere from the elementary child trying to get into it to we have high school teams and everything in between. There's also a Nordic program or cross-country ski program that also serves a variety of schools through a program called Nordic Rocks, where they're taking cross-country skis that are slightly adapted so kids can just go get in with their regular snow boots. But they're working with 600 kids in schools around the area. They also run youth elementary programming, a middle school and a high school team. And then my program, the Master of the Mountain, we are Learn to Ski, Learn to Snowboard program. The whole club serves 7 to 17-year-olds, but in Master of the Mountain, we also run a junior instructor program.
Sure. That's
certified. We just started this last year with a junior patroller program, and we hope to expand upon that. And we are also at that same stage with a freestyle program for kids who want to get a little bit more technical, getting into the park and more difficult terrain. So we kind of do a whole lot, and we serve a big area, kind of people coming in from Manistee and Traverse City and Leelanau County and everywhere else around. So we're trying to get the word out and let people know there's good things for kids to do in the winter months.
Right.
Get active.
And the mission, and I like this, build an organization through leadership of the board to develop the skills through certified instruction, coaching for lifelong values, and enjoyment of snow sports for youth and family. So what sort of skills specifically are you referencing and going for through this?
Well, right now with the Learn to Ski program, what we want is we just want to get kids active and outside. If we can get the families involved. Last year, this pandemic year was a little bit of a hassle for everybody, but the year prior, we did a couple parent days where we got parents on skis so they could get out there with their kids.
How was that? Were there any funny moments?
I wasn't instructing with with parents at that point, but I did have a couple come up to me a couple weeks after and say, "Hey, it was great. We got to go out and ski with our kids. The kids just so love it, and to finally get the parents onto skis, whether they used to do it or they'd never done it, to go out there and see your kid doing something that they really love."
First time on skis, that's a rarefied air where it can go wrong pretty quickly and comically.
Yeah. Well, luckily we've got awesome instructors. We work with the ski school at Crystal Mountain. So all of our instructors are like certified and top of the line. And I'd like to think that I pick and choose, I have good conversation with all my instructors before we bring them on to kind of let them know what my expectations are and expectations of our club and their involvement. Because what we're doing really is we're taking a group of kids every Sunday, and sometimes in our other programs, multiple days a week, and you're putting them with a coach or an instructor.
Right.
And so they're not only just teaching the technical skills of, how to ski or snowboard, but they become a mentor. These kids, they're hopefully getting these kids really into snow sports, and this will be something that they remember forever. So I want someone who's positive, who's going to have a positive impact, and understand that the weight of that role in being part of the club.
Right. And you've mentioned skiing and snowboarding a few times.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I remember a time when snowboarding was new.
Yeah.
I'm going to date myself. But there was a little acrimony between the two. Is it a little more aligned now? Is there more understanding of each pursuit?
I think so. I think that in the old school days, for sure, there was a lot of animosity. Skiers didn't like snowboarders and vice versa. I think, like many things, as you go through the years, they kind of started to come together in some ways. Yeah, you do have your ski racers, but you've also got a ton of skiers going in the park.
Freestyle ski.
Yeah,
skiers.
freestyle.
Right.
So they're like got their own art form, kind of in that same vein that the snowboarders were doing back in the day, you know?
I think it all changed when the Razor scooters came out.
You think Razor scooters did it?
Yeah, and then skateboarders realized, like, well, I could ski too if I want, you know.
We see a lot of kids who are on skis who kind of want to stay on skis but go into more freestyle stuff. I grew up skiing for many years. I hurt my knee in high school and never felt quite right, but when I strapped into a snowboard, it felt great. So I became a snowboarder, 15, 17 years ago.
So that was just easier on your body at the time. And
Yeah, like I just didn't have like a big heavy weight at the end of a leg with a knee that just didn't feel solid,
right.
So
And you graduated from Michigan State with a BA in Communication Arts and Science.
I did.
Your early career was spent helping youth aging out of the foster care system with the Michigan Youth Opportunity Initiative. You helped those in need at the Northern Lakes Community Mental Health Center, designing engaging after-school programs for Sutton Bay schools. So where did the spark ignite to do this kind of work? Was it in college? Was it before? Was it after?
Oh, that's a great question. I was always a guy in my life who engaged with youth. If I was like a teenager and we were at like a family party, I'd be like directing something for the kids, keep kids going and active. And as I got older, it's just a skill set that I have to be able to work with and talk to and really connect with at-risk kids. And when you're good at that, just opportunities arise, because if you're good and someone sees you've got this skill, they will say, hey, you need to talk to so-and-so over here. And so I kind of moved from grant-funded job to grant-funded job, doing different things. And eventually that moved me from being downstate in Lansing and Onondaga to moving up here to work at the alternative high school.
Right.
So,
and we've had other guests on the program who do work grant-funded jobs. And can you talk a little bit about that and how tenuous it can be and how unsure your future can be?
Well, I can tell you because I'm a carpenter now. I got out of the grant-funded business because it was so, you'd be part of these grants and you're building this program and you're trying to build towards this bigger and bigger and better thing that is helping kids. And then you don't get the grant, or the grant money shifts, and now they want to put grant money towards something else, and jobs that fall by the wayside. Yeah. Well,
at any time in the process, correct?
Yeah, obviously there's like fiscal years and when you can apply, but so for the Crystal Community Ski Club, we got a grant. The Master of the Mountain program got like a huge grant from the Share Winter Foundation, and it's amazing, and it's allowed us to really blossom and grow, and I'm hoping we can really lay down some long-term planning on how the club's going to go. But we really don't know if we're going to get funded next year until like September, October,
right,
November. And we're talking about a chunk of change that really, keeps us afloat. So we're trying to be very diverse in our, grants that we go for in the area, from just local Rotary charities or even smaller Rotary clubs out in Benzie and Manistee, to going for bigger national grants. And we have a great grant writer who I really enjoy working with, Michelle Russell. She's just a powerhouse.
It's a
brain.
skill. It is a distinct skill set.
Yep. And she allows me to do what I do, which is great. And when you have a team that works like that, it feels really good. So we're at a point where we're really looking at blossoming in the next 5 years, I'd say.
Are you finding that this current directorship has any crossover with your past vocational lives? Do you see at-risk youth, for example, attracted to this?
Well, see, that's the interesting thing. Yes, I do. We have a great scholarship program with the club. So we're able to bring in kids who want to take part, but maybe their family don't have the financial resources. So there is some socioeconomic diversity, but let's be honest, skiing and at a resort, I mean, that's an expensive thing that there's a certain population that can afford to do that. So I'm looking at keeping building grants and also building scholarship funds so that we can work with area groups that need it. You know, I talked to Mr. Wilson about, you know, maybe doing some reach out to the tribe. This last year, through the Share Winter Foundation, I went to they wanted every grantee to go through an equity training. So
Oh, wow.
once a month, I've been sitting down on a Zoom call with people from Whistler and Oregon and Montana and Idaho and out east. And they're all doing great programs with kids that are supported by these grants from EVO and Share Winter. And I got put into a breakout session room with one guy, and we started talking, and it turns out he's from Flint. He's running a program down in Flint at Mount Holly. And so we started chatting, and I was like, hey, man, I want to have you guys come visit us. Like, same grant. I want your kids who are going there on Tuesday nights to come up here and spend a day with us. And boy, that just took off. And I kind of had to tell all the powers that be that were really excited and trying to make things happen, like, slow down, we want your support, but, you know, let Jalen and I design what we need to do for our kids.
Right.
So to answer your question, yeah, doing what I did in the past, I was always building programs and promoting programs and coming up with ideas and then implementing them through collaboration. And so I'm a connector, and I love to create situations like that. And we were able to do that with the kids from Flint, and it was amazing. It helped that it was like 34 degrees and bluebird skies and sunny and lovely, and we had a great time, and the kids came and learned, and we had tons of food to celebrate with. And then we got together with the kids from Flint and the kids from the Master of the Mountain program, and we at that point knew kind of the skill level of everybody, of all of our guests, and we were to plug them into our groups, and they hit the slopes with all of our kids from up here and got to taste a bigger resort experience.
Yeah.
And planning on coming in next year. And we're trying to grow it across the region with the Michigan ski area, our ski MSIA, Michigan Ski Industry Association.
Wow. So how often do those kind of serendipitous meetings happen? How important is that to connect with somebody from another area? Do you seek those out? Do you have time to do that?
I make time. Generally, I have an idea or a vision of what I want to see happen, and then I start talking about it to some people and just kind of like try to create a little bit of energy around that. And invariably somebody will say, oh, hey, have you talked to so-and-so, or do you know blah, blah, blah from this place? And I'm like, no. And then they give me a number, or they give me a name, and then I'll just get a hold of that person on the blue and say, hey, I hear you're doing something similar to like I'm doing, and I'd like to try to grow this in our area. Just kind of, if we can all work together, we can build something bigger and better.
That's how we met, through connections similar.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. You talked about being on this virtual meeting with larger communities, Whistler and things like that. Is our smaller community more of an advantage? Did they talk about how it's difficult because they're so spread out, or is there an advantage to being in a smaller community like ours?
You know, I see it as an advantage because everybody knows somebody. You know, there's a lot of interconnection. I think that at some of these other places, they're dealing with far greater numbers than we do in terms of my club. I'd love to see our numbers grow by a lot, and I think our club can support that, and Crystal Mountain can support that. But it doesn't matter how big the program is, how little it is, they're still hitting those same pitfalls. You know, a lot of the people that are doing this work have a passion for youth and a passion for sports, and especially skiing or snowboarding. They want to share that. And yes, we know that the family that, you know, has a lot of money and has the free time to go to the resort, of course, they may get engaged. But how do we get, and this happens all the time, like we're in an equity training, how do we get more BIPOC, you know, population involved in what we're doing?
Right. And
that takes some effort to identify, build some trust, you know, let people know that we're here we're not just trying to take their money. We definitely want people to have skin in the game, you know, but if there's a barrier, you want to do this and there's a barrier, then let's work together and find a way to make this a possibility.
So you're interacting with youth age 7 to 17, which one could say maybe is kind of an underrepresented voice out there, right? So I think what's interesting is what kind of challenges do you hear from them? What kind of, aside from COVID, what do you hear? What do they struggle with? Just in conversation.
When you're on the chairlift with the kids, you get to chat a little bit. And it's amazing what the kids will talk about, Sometimes it's their friends and something that was hard that was happening in their friend group or their peer group. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you get, a child opening up about their parent situation, or we're on every Sunday thing, and maybe some Sundays they're with dad and other Sundays they're with mom, and one or the other gets them there or gets them there on time. And you can just see the stress that builds in a kid. But one of the big aspects of our club is not just drilling kids so that they learn these skills. There's a huge social component. So like when a kid checks in to our club, they're with the same group pretty much the whole season. So they got like a little posse of skiers and snowboarders that they get to roll with across the hill with their instructor/mentor. Yeah. And so it becomes, I think, a safe space and a fun space, regardless of what else is happening in the kid's life. Yeah. They get to have that time. Right. And that's what we're trying to instill, right? We want kids to be active in the winter, go out and have healthy fun with their friends, and in the end, have these amazing experiences. Yeah. And so the goal is to get them in early, teach them how to ski, snowboard. If they want to look at the patroller thing, we're going to have a junior patroller. If they want to get into freestyle, we have that. If they want to go race, they can do that. If they want to do an instructor thing. I mean, this helps the kids and it helps the industry. Right.
It feels like that age group is just, go to school, shut up, do what you're told, eat your vegetables. And it's nice that they have an outlet because they've got problems too.
And that's just it. Like they're running everywhere and they're playing all these sports and they're doing this. And then they know they show up on Sunday and it's like, we're going to go skiing. We're going to be with our friends. We're going to joke. We're going to laugh. We're going to have snacks. There's 3 hours you've got that you can get lost in that world. Yeah. Hence, also, the parents get that same time, So it's great when you see the parents like put on their skis and go off and have a ski date together. You know, like that doesn't happen enough. I mean, let's be honest, it doesn't happen enough in busy lives.
Sure. You mentioned your mentors and coaches. Is this totally volunteer based or are there some paid positions?
No, these are paid positions. We work with the ski school at Crystal Mountain rather, and we hire those certified instructors to be teaching for our club. It's great for them because they know they get 3 hours, guaranteed every Sunday because, depending on the weekend, there's going to be more people there or not. So they can always just bank on Sunday afternoons. They've got 3 hours and they can pack classes around that. And so we have those instructors that are paid, and then we have a board of volunteers that kind of oversees what we're doing. And then our, directors of our different programs are paid as well.
And you mentioned the board. So what are the terms like for a board member, and how diverse is your current board?
I think we're working on getting more diverse. The terms are, we have like 1 year terms up to 3 years in a certain role. Sure. So our last president was here for 3 years. He just stepped down. He became the treasurer. We had another person who joined the board, hopped on as president, is really doing some great things and taking the club in some new directions with some different eyes and a different skill set, which is great. And then we have some parents that are avid skiers and have skill sets that will help build our club, as well as some folks who are, happy to have the skill set to work with that population that we're trying to target. Right. The socioeconomic, BIPOC. How do we get people who you don't always see on a ski slope onto a ski slope?
Sure. I'm curious as to the time it takes for you, because when does the program start in earnest? Because I can imagine there's work that happens in the non-winter months, right? Yeah. So it's not just snowfall and now we get going, right? So there's other things that you're doing.
There's a ramp up stage, and honestly, one of the things that we have needed to get better about is our marketing, and that is because in the off season we have a bunch of people who are athletes and they're into their sport. It's mountain biking. Now it's mountain biking. Now it's soccer. Now it's this or now it's that. So skiing kind of falls by the wayside. well, this year we've got a better plan, and we're going to be meeting monthly, and we're breaking out and really looking at doing some real marketing across various avenues. We want to, of course, get into local print media, like some of just the smaller local papers.
Right.
We've already had some great articles written by local journalists who are willing to share those with any publication that wants to put something out there. If they could do that in November and talk about our club and what we do, get the word out to those people who aren't seeing us, because the people who are following our social media are generally people who've been already involved with our club.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I'd love to see us as a club start, working with our families who love this program. And even though our numbers were a little greater than half of the year before due to the pandemic, one of the things I think that brought to the parents was they really like having the social, like lots of kids that their kids can be around. They were not getting that because schools were closed. And so I think if we get some real advocates, we could reach out into some school districts and have the parents kind of help navigate, like, who do we talk to about getting into the e-newsletter so that more eyes will see our website and click on that link.
And does Crystal Mountain itself help you with marketing at all? Because, they've got their own.
They do, and they have quite a robust program, and that was our last board meeting we had. Crystal Mountain was like, yeah, whatever we can do, they're like, we're on board. I think we've synced up now, which is great. There's been a few crossovers, that Crystal Mountain has picked up over the past years, but I think we're going to see a lot more of those, which is going to be great because it's amazing how many people that are in the Crystal community, whether they are landowners there or condo owners or just visiting, don't really know who our club is. We want our logo and our club name to be like synonymous. Like, you're going to see a kid with that logo and you're going to think, oh yeah, that's the CCSC and they're doing good things out there. That's the place we'd like to get. And I think it's going to take us a little bit more time, but
the owners of Crystal Mountain are very supportive of you, as I understand it.
Super duper supportive. And that makes everything easier when you've got that kind of support coming from up top.
So if, let's say, you're not a skier or a snowboarder, are there other ways you can participate in this at all?
I think that the Nordic program has been great to introduce kids. It's you're on flat ground. And I think that a lot of times kids come to us, we get the really young ones who have never skied, and so that can be intimidating. But when it comes to getting kids involved that maybe haven't done it, we definitely welcome we call them never evers. We welcome never evers. It is great when we see a kid who's a never ever. There was one kid 2 winters ago who he came out. He had some developmental things going on, and he was very shy and very quiet. And by the end of the season, he was skiing down green and blue runs. And I was taking videos and showing to mom and dad who grew up skiing at Crystal Mountain and had a lot of trepidation on whether it was going to be a good fit and it was going to work and all this. And by the end of the winter, they were just like overjoyed to be able to go skiing with their son that they never thought they'd get there. So
oh my gosh,
that's like a super great, heartwarming.
Yeah.
The other aspect of this is, as we look at the long term, we're looking at maybe expanding outside of snow sports. Mountain biking is a term that gets tossed around. I've got lots of ideas. I don't really want to get into it right now, but I think there's potential for some growth outside of winter, and I think that'll help us also recruit for.
You can master the mountain biking.
Master the mountain biking. There you go.
It's an obvious offshoot. Yeah.
One of the cool things the Nordic program is doing, they just got a grant, and we did a matching grant. With that, they're getting some roller skis. So some of these high school athletes can train in the off season. Nordic's great for your endurance athlete, whether if they're like a cross country runner or a track, they need something to do in the winter, get them on some cross country skis. You really get that cardio, you get that endurance aspect versus all of us snowboarders and skiers who are kind of gravity fed. We want to let gravity do the work.
So you're probably not going to try to introduce like the biathlon, like distance skiing and shooting.
It would be super cool actually that somebody threw that out there. That's not something we have going, but
it's probably an insurance nightmare. I mean, it's probably an insurance nightmare.
It has to be an insurance nightmare, but there was one of our instructors had in the past built a program and got like $1 million grant for a biathlon program.
Wow.
But they were working not with kids, but with veterans. getting veterans active and get their body moving and their skill set. And I just thought that was really a cool thing. So, who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows what the future holds?
Ryan wants a frisbee golf program.
Oh, you're a frisbee golf.
No.
No, he is not.
I was going to say, I love the disc golf. That was one of the things I threw out there,
like
too.
That.
No, I think it's an intriguing concept.
Yeah.
It's low impact.
He's a traditional businessman. Golf.
Golf. Yeah, it's where the money's made. It's where the deals are made out there on the golf
where
course.
the deals are made, chewing on cigars.
Well, all I got to say about disc golf, I know it's not your average, thing, but when I worked at the alternative high school at Traverse City High School, we started a disc golf club, and I had like 25% of the kids coming out with me to Hickory Hills, which was kind of a logistic nightmare to keep an eye on everybody. But we ended up having such a great thing. We went and pitched it to the Alternative Athletic Association. I got them to get their kids on board, and then we set up a statewide disc golf competition with all the alternative high schools that wanted to participate, and met in Mount Pleasant, and people came from everywhere to that course.
And I love that school, man.
Traverse City High School dominated. I don't know if they're still doing it, but I know there was a few trophies by the time I left.
My son just graduated from there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
man.
Really, it was a really good fit for him.
Yeah.
And I was high anxiety as a kid too.
Lance Morgan there still?
Yep.
He's a good man.
No, I
like
was
him a lot.
participated in the alternative education instead.
So you mentioned, a $1 million grant. That what would you do in a perfect world if you had an unlimited budget?
An unlimited budget.
You talked about marketing, but
If I had an unlimited budget, there'd be a lot more outreach. We'd have full-time paid director that oversaw programming and kept things moving through the year, where we could actually connect with schools and get a face into the schools and all the schools in the area to kind of hype our programs. I would, do huge outreach to areas that kids might traditionally can't afford to get out on the slopes. And I think skiing and snowboarding is the kind of thing where once you get into it, you kind of get bit by the bug. And I know that I became an instructor 17 years ago because my kid wanted to learn how to snowboard, and I had been snowboarding like twice, and he had been 0 times. And Patty, who's up in Leonard County, was like, she always calls me Coach. She's like, Coach, we want you to work with our club. It was the Leonard Ski Club. And I'm like, I don't know how to snowboard. And she's like, but kids, and you know how to snowboard a little bit better than they do. So you're just going to get better and better. And that was 17 years ago. And I just went to, with my youngest son, we went to Washington and went riding at Mount Baker and Crystal Mountain, Washington, and had a great time. But yeah, that's just it. Like when you are into it, you find a way. So I got into it, and I would just work for the club so that my kids could be in there and learn how to ski and snowboard.
Right.
And then eventually, like, I got a skill set that sets me up to, build a hopefully really cool program.
Yeah. And maybe this is related to the last question, and you touched on it a little bit, but, students interested, but they don't have the discretionary funds for the gear. Is there a rental program? Is there anything like that you have now that helps?
There is. So Crystal Mountain has had established for a long time a school program, they call it. And as we're part of Crystal Mountain, our kids who sign up and families who sign up for our program get the super reduced rate that make it accessible. But even then, we have people who are like, I can do the pass, but I don't know if I can do this part. And we'll be like, okay, well, we'll work it out, and we find ways to scholarship that kid. Usually we have the kids write something about why they want to be part of the club, so that we know that they are invested in what we're doing. And it's also great to see what they write and to see them really have that excitement of just wanting to be part of
that. Do you have any professional ski or snowboarders that have resulted from this program that you're aware of? Anybody gone on to acclaim?
Not that I'm aware of.
And that's not a criticism. I was just kind of curious, like somebody who's gone on to do something just crazy and amazing. And
we have
TV
one kid I can think of, snowboarder, who I don't know what he's doing, but when he was ready to move on from us, and he was doing amazing things. I expect to see him on X Games someday.
Okay.
I don't want to put that kind of pressure on him. I'm not going to say his name, but he was supremely talented, and I would take him out and ride as hard as I could, and he was right on my tail the whole time, and
Wow.
he was just awesome. And he was like 9.
Holy cow.
Yeah, so he's got to be like 13, 14 now. I don't know what he's doing, but I know he's doing flips somewhere on a trampoline or, off the jumps he's got built in his
That's
backyard.
so that in the off season, that's your training, your trampoline, your.
I mean, those guys that like to flip and twist and do all that, I'm not that guy.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah, I'm not that guy. I play soccer in the
Have you
summer.
tried and something scared you, and that's why you're not that guy, or you're just like,
Have
I'm
you ever
not-
done a flip on a trampoline?
Yeah, a long time ago.
If you know how to do it, it's easy.
Yeah.
If you don't, you can easily wreck yourself. And I think I
Right.
wrecked myself once.
You have to check
That's
yourself.
all it takes. That's right.
My son,
Mr. Q.
my son can do like flip after flip after flip,
All
like
that
it's
stuff.
nothing, and it's awesome. But he's always been that guy. So.
So we also talked about the fact that you're a DJ,
Yeah.
and is there ever any crossover? Have you ever provided entertainment during this, or been asked, or is that on the DL and I just screwed it up for you?
I had them ask me about something this year just through Crystal Mountain, and nothing ever happened with it. It was fine. Like I think
Gotcha.
it just logistically it wasn't going to work out for whatever reason. I think I might have been actually going to Washington State to snowboard that week. Anyway, I have not done any DJing out at Crystal Mountain. Not yet. I've thought about it. It would be fun to go into the Vista and do like the race league night, just like spin
Right.
records and let it be that way. But
It
I
seems
do
like there's
hope,
a natural crossover to
There
the,
is.
to the worlds.
and what I do want to see is I want to see the club get a freestyle program going and have those kids really get engaged in developing a competition.
Right.
And the competition's just the whole idea of getting the kids together. I think the real magic happens when kids are like riding together in the warm
Yeah.
up before the comp, and that free ride time where the kids are all hitting stuff and talking to each other and do hitting the rails and getting pointers from each other. That's where the connection happens. In that, I would think we just need to have like a huge sound system, and we're just blaring music all over the hill, so that everybody stops and looks and wants to see what's happening. To me, that's
Seems like that would complete the package. That seems
I
right.
mean, that's how I would do.
So can you explain as a DJ why inexplicably people like the song Sweet Caroline? It's admittedly a terrible
It's not
song.
just that song. It's any of them that you can sing along with that gets known for. See, if you've done a lot of like public events like that, like if you've done one where you got this like a mixture of people, and so there's a lot of different forced fun songs. To them,
Yeah, forced
they
fun.
they get it once a year, once every other year. And if they go to something where there's something
right.
like that,
Yeah.
they don't realize that like if we're doing it every weekend, it's like
For us, it's not fun. Yeah, for
You get
us,
sick
it's
of that
like, oh,
song.
here we go. And I'm kind of in a strange enough like genre of DJ where I only spin vinyl. And,
specialized.
yeah, I
Oh,
used to do
nice.
just reggae vinyl.
Yeah.
Even.
Yeah.
And so people would come say something to me, and as a vinyl DJ, you're just like, oh no, I don't have it. If you have a laptop, then they know you can get on the internet and
Yeah,
find whatever
everything.
song
Right.
they want. But with me, it's like that. And now I'm so out there with my music selections. They're all super groovy and people dig it, but I think people quickly realize like, oh, this isn't the guy who's going to play Sweet Caroline.
Yeah, this is the vibe of like it depends on the venue. So if you're at a wedding, most of the time it's
You
go-
both
you're
took
gonna-
Yeah.
that. You both took that ridiculous question really seriously. You're both true professionals. Like,
Oh, sorry.
tell you.
sorry. Oh, sorry.
You're
Listen,
talking,
if
you're
you-
talking about our passion, bro.
Yeah.
If you're a real DJ, you want people to have a good time. Are the people dancing?
That's
having fun?
right.
Yeah.
That's right. So, how can listeners support the Crystal Community Ski Club and Master the Mountain?
Listeners can go to our website, which is cccskiclub.org, and there you can find links to everything that we have going on, as well as a link for donating.
You can donate, and that's the best way to do that is through the website.
That'd be it's the most direct. It's the most direct way. I mean, people are also welcome to reach out to me directly if they have some questions. They can reach me at my Gmail account, which
Okay.
is marcothered@gmail.com. And my daytime job as a carpenter, so I'm not always checking my email. I'm not at a computer a lot. So if somebody does send me something, please be patient. I'll eventually get back to you. But email is not my strong suit at this point.
Well, that's okay. It's going to be worth it. Quality over quantity. So the website was ccskiclub.org. And is there anything else you'd want to share with the listeners about the program, about yourself, about life, about music?
I think that this has been fabulous. I want to thank you guys. I think everybody checks this out. Go check out CC Ski Club and think about a kid or a family that you may know that might be interested in that. Our goal, again, is to get kids outside, having fun, get active in the winter with other kids, and learn a skill, a sport that hopefully they can take with them into their life and maybe down the line. I mean, to me, the big win from this program will be in 15 to 20 years when I'm at Crystal Mountain and somebody skis up to me and says, "Hey, Mr. Marco, and so-and-so, do you remember me from the club? And here's my kids." And they've got their kids out there. That, to me, that's a win. Like, we're changing lives generationally at that point, and that's important to me.
That's incredible. Well, Marco, thank you so much for your pursuits, and to all of those who pursue along with you, teaching valuable skills and giving confidence through mastering the mountain. And to our listeners, thank you so much for listening, and thank you for pursuing the positive.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for hanging out with us one more time on the Pursuit of Podcast. A big thanks to Marco, the homie, for coming in. For more information, check out ccskiclub.org. You can find out information on all of the Crystal Community Ski Club programs. And also take a moment, check out Tinlid Hat Company, tinlidco.com. Use promo code THEPURSUITOF for 40% off to our listeners. And also for general podcasting and production inquiries, check us out at newleonard.com.